Listen, I used to be the girl selling smoked salmon door to door. Yes, fish. I was getting doors slammed in my face. I was getting hung up on every single day. I also learned sales the masculine way. Hold their feet to the fire, pressure them, don't let them off the phone without a sale. None of it felt right to me. Fast forward to now, I learned and mastered the skill of high ticket sales, and the rest is history. Think about it. You can sell cheap shit, which nobody takes seriously, or you can sell expensive which actually causes a transformation, because what happens when we put some skin in the game? We take it seriously. I have used this exact sales script to generate over $700,000 in the last year selling online programs for other coaches. And I'm working only about 12 hours a week. The way that I teach sales is this beautiful blend of both feminine and masculine energy. And at the end of the day, I empower these women to change. I work with all kinds of women. I work with moms. I work with high achieving women. I work with women who are burnt out from their 9-to-5s, and even stay-at-home moms that want to start working, 5 hours a week. I help them land remote closing roles where they can make between $10,000 and $20,000 completely from home. Today, I'm breaking it down for you. Before we get into the script, I want to share with you a mindset shift that has helped me close so many deals and really detach from the outcome of the sale and lean into how can I help this other person. So here's the mindset shift that I realized I needed to make. Subconsciously, I had this thought that I don't want to be salesy. And I want you to think about that. If you believe that you don't want to be salesy, that's attaching a negative connotation around sales. So we want to flip that, because at the end of the day, what is sales? Why do people buy things? People buy things because they're looking for a solution to a problem, or they're looking for something that's going to enrich their life in some way. So if the offer that you're selling is the solution that they are looking for, it is a complete disservice not to sell to that person. I remember the first coach who ever sold to me, I was like shaking, my hands were shaking when it came to making the payment. I was like so scared, but she encouraged me and helped me get over the hump. And that investment completely changed the trajectory of my life. And it's led me to become this woman that I am today. So forget about being pushy. Forget about doing it the masculine way. That is not the way to get women to move. The key difference between masculine sales and feminine sales is that masculine sales follows a script. A lot of times it just feels scripted, like the person is just saying the same thing no matter who the person is, and they're not actually listening. When it comes to feminine sales and the way that I teach sales, we always first and foremost listen to what the other person is saying. I teach all my girls first and foremost is to simply get curious. Ask them what they mean. Ask them for clarity. One thing that I do that most people don't is that I speak to the potential client's highest version of them. So when the lack or the scarcity or the doubt comes in, I'll call it out and I'll be like, what version of you is this that's saying that? Is it the future 2.0 version of you, or is it the version of you who's in lack or scarcity? And in feminine sales, when I get an objection, it means that I have the opportunity, instead of leaning in, instead of going into fight or flight mode, I simply lean back. I tell them, look, it's no problem at all. I'm just here to talk through this with you. And then I'll ask them a question about what they said. I expect objections and I actually love them, because it means that there's some sort of uncertainty in that person's brain. And I just get to walk them through it and handle the objection and help them see they're never going to be 100% certain, right? We don't need to be 100% certain about something in order to take the first step. When I shifted from reading off of a script to actually listening to the other person and asking really good questions, my close rate skyrocketed. So rather than being afraid of objections, I want you to see them through this new lens, and I want you to get excited about objections, because it simply means that there's something going on in their brain that's the same pattern that's prevented them from moving forward in the future. And it is your job to be a detective, to figure out what it is, to hold up the mirror and help them see their thought process that got them here is not the thought process that's going to get them there. So what do we need to do differently to get better outcome? And if you're new to high ticket sales, the close rate is simply the percentage of calls that you close. So for example, if you take 10 calls and you close 5 of them, your close rate would be 50%. Here it is. I'm sharing my $700,000 sales script that you can literally use and start taking calls immediately. This is exactly what I followed when I first became a high ticket closer. And then of course, as we get better, I want you to go scriptless eventually. The last thing that you want is for the other person to think that you're reading off of a script. So it's very important for you to memorize this. I really want you to think of this as a framework, because again, first and foremost, It's listening to the other person and having a genuine conversation with them, because you will lose a sale within the first couple of minutes if they feel like you're a weirdo or a robot or not actually listening to them and don't actually care about them. So these are the 10 steps. Let's roll through them. Like I said, you can start closing deals today with this framework, but you're probably only going to get the laydowns. Like if you want to become an actual shark, like an actual amazing closer, you're going to have to train like an athlete. You're going to have to learn the nuances. Like if they say this, then you go here, then you go there. But this is just a really good place to get started and an outline of the script that I followed. All right, so here's the intro. Hey, is this Kayla? Hey, Kayla, I'm Nikki with XYZ Company. Can you hear me and see me okay? Great. Where are you calling in from? Nice. And what do you do for work? Okay, so a couple things here. My tonality. Do you see how my tone goes up? I'm like, what do you do for work? Again, the point of this intro is to build some rapport with the person. And building rapport does not mean that you have to like have something in common. Like, oh, like you have a dog, I have a dog too. That is not what building rapport is. It's just having a normal conversation and caring about the other person and just having a little bit of back and forth. Okay. So, we're just kind of getting to know the person. In masculine sales, they say, do not do this. They say, do not ask where the person's from. Don't make the small talk, cut out the chit chat. I completely disagree. I believe in real human connection and getting to know the other person. And I think it would just be weird to start a call without first doing this little intro and building rapport. Next is the frame. Okay, great. Well, I do have another call after this. So are you good if we just go ahead and jump right into things? I'll be like, yeah. Okay, so this call is going to be pretty simple. What I find works best on these calls is I need to ask you some questions. We only take a limited number of clients each month. And so I really just want to get to know you. I want to know what your goals are. And I want to make sure that like this is a good fit both ways. So if I know that we can help you based on what we talk about, then of course I can break down the program, everything we do. You can ask me questions. We're really in no rush. I just want you to have all the information that you need in order to make your decision. Sound good? So this is establishing some authority. We're letting the person know we're busy. We have calls booked all day. We are in high demand. We're letting them know we're going to ask them some questions. There's some, like, if you don't pre-frame it like this correctly, there's people that are going to be like, why are you asking me all these questions? How much is it? I don't want like any of the sales tactics. And it's just like, hey, the reason that we're asking these questions is because we don't take everyone into our program. We want to make sure that we can actually help you and that this is a good fit. Also, a lot of offer owners, they have programs ranging from $27 all the way up to $50,000. So how can I tell you the price without asking you some questions, getting to know like where you're at and where you want to be? Got it? All right, let's move down to the discovery. So the discovery of the call is just asking them the questions to figure out what's going on and where they want to go. This is called question-based selling. This is also called gap selling, because what we're doing is we're creating that gap and where they are and where they want to be. All right, there's really 3 types of questions that we're going to cover. The first one is their current situation. The second one is their future desired situation. And the third one is the consequence of inaction. So here's what we say. All right, I'm just going to let you take it away just so that I can get a deeper understanding of like what's going on. I do have some notes here from the form that you filled out and I've already read through it. So just go ahead and start off. Like, what's the biggest challenge that you've been dealing with when it comes to your health? At this point, they're going to dump. They're going to jump on you. They're going to word vomit. They're going to tell you everything that's going on. And your job is to take notes. So you can either use pen and paper. I sometimes just have a Word document open in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. And the main thing here is to never, ever, 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 ever interrupt this person. All you do, even if you have a question about what they say, you just write down the question, because we want to let their brain just fully unload all of their thoughts, everything that they want to get out. Like we don't want to ruin their train of thought. So just think about it. If they're like, well, I've gone to the doctor, I've tried this. If you interrupt them and you say, well, what did the doctor say? Then they're going to answer your question. And then all of a sudden they like lost their train of thought. So you would just type out, what did the doctor say? Hey, here is the amazing sequence of questions that we are really going to ask in order to figure out their current situation. So we're going to ask them, how long has this been going on? What did they think is the reason that it's been going on this long and why it's not been resolved yet? Like, what's missing and what they've tried? What exactly have they tried so far? Have they invested in themselves? Why is it important to you to resolve this? Because you don't have to, right? And a lot of people don't. So like, why is this important to you? How does this problem affect other areas of their life? Like, what about their confidence, their work, their relationships with their partner, their relationship with their kids? What are you currently following, if anything, to help you get the results? Do you feel like you'll eventually figure this out on your own or reach your goal as quickly as you'd like? Or do you feel like you need to make some small changes? Why is this important for you now? Like usually people that get on these calls, something happened, something led them to booking this call. What was it for you? Do you feel like you're living up to your highest standard? Okay, so when it comes to these questions, if you are able to have an organic conversation with this person, a lot of the questions are going to be answered in the organic conversation. So again, the last thing that you want to do is just be reading question after question after question in this order. When the conversation flows, they kind of just start bouncing around. Ask them really great questions that's going to help you understand their current situation. Next, we're going to move into their future desired situation. So if I could wave a magic wand and we transport to the future, what would life look like specifically to you on the other side of this? And then sometimes I even ask them to close their eyes and just imagine this 2.0 version of them. And we want to watch out for surface level language. So if they're saying things like, I would be happy, I would be confident, these things are not tangible enough. So this is your job to dig. I want you to dig. I want you to go deeper. So just ask them, okay, more confidence. Specifically for you, what would more confidence look like? Okay, you'd want more energy. What would that mean for you? What does happiness look like to you personally? Because it's different for everybody, right? Do you see how I'm just curious? And then you want to ask them, depending on if it's a health and fitness offer, they could be interested in losing weight. Or maybe if it's an ROI offer, they're probably interested in making more money. So is there a specific weight that you're shooting for? Or is there a specific income that you want to reach? And then again, we're digging. Why? What would that mean? How would your relationships or your day-to-day be different? Like what would you do more of if you were making $20K a month? Really get them to paint the picture. And then we want to ask them, are you committed to this version of yourself for you and for your family? Like, are you committed? This is a good question. If you hear any sort of uncertainty, I just want you to remember to get curious. So just ask them, yeah, I hear you're like a little bit uncertain, and which is totally fine. Just so that I understand, where's the uncertainty coming from? Maybe it's like a past experience. Maybe they've been burned in the past. Maybe they didn't follow through themselves with the last thing. So just get curious and ask. If they do say, they got burned from a past experience, we want to walk them through this. This is totally understandable and normal. Like we all go through these kind of things, right? But what happens if we continue to let the past hold us back? Where will that leave us? Like how has this maybe sour taste in your mouth kept you from achieving your results? The best salespeople know how to ask the right questions and get the person to come to that conclusion on their own. Because remember, people don't believe a word that some stranger on a sales call, they don't believe a word that you tell them, but they believe everything that comes out of their own mouth. So this is why we ask those questions. Next is consequence. If you had to fix this 3 to 6 months ago, where do you think you'd be today? To really get them to paint the picture of what's possible. And then we kind of want to pull the rug a little bit. So I know nobody likes to think about the worst case scenario, right? But the most successful people, the most successful business owners or just people do consider this. What happens if you don't do this and you stay on your same path for another, 6 months, 6 years? And let them paint that picture of pain. They're either going to say that they're going to stay the same or possibly that it's going to get worse. And then you're going to ask them, so like what's riskier in your opinion? Staying the same or getting past a little bit of fear and uncertainty and getting these results? So just remember, any uncertainty needs to be addressed and overcame right at the time that it comes up. All right. So again, this is you being the detective and listening and helping them get over their own limiting beliefs. Okay, then we're going to go to a little transition. All right. Thank you for sharing that with me. I feel really clear about you experiencing XYZ. You want to get to XYZ and you've tried this, and this, but you didn't get the results that you can get with the right help. So is there anything else that you'd like me to take note of that we didn't cover yet? This is really important. Make sure that, you've covered everything. Sometimes there could be a big problem that, you guys didn't talk about. So we just keep adding all of this as like ammo. All right. Pre-handling objections. The most common objections are, I need to talk to my spouse, it's too much money, or any kind of like fear or uncertainty. So we're going to handle those right here so that they don't come up at the end of the call. I promise you, if you don't handle these right now, they are definitely going to come up at the end of the call, and it's going to be the reason that the person does not buy from you. I'm not saying that they're not going to come up at all after going through this. Sometimes they still do, but if they do, it's usually not that big of a deal because you guys have already touched on it here, and then you can touch on them again at the end of the call. All right, so here's how we get past the partner objection. Okay, and before we go any further, is there anybody that needs to be part of this decision-making process that we can invite on the call with us? Okay, so it's just you. And then, inside of my course, I have, if they say, oh, I will need to talk to my husband, I have responses for that. Or if they say, say, yes, I'm all good. I have responses for that. All right, let's move on to the financial pre-qualification. Do you believe in investing in order to take the shortcut and save you time? Or what's your relationship with time versus money? Love this question because most people are going to say that they value time more than money and that it is important to use money as a resource to help them get to where they want to go quicker. So this is the language that we're looking for in that question. So would you say that you're in a place to invest in getting this solved if you felt 100% certain that our program could solve your problem and you felt like really excited about it? Are there any other fears or roadblocks that might get in the way? Just see what they say. See if anything comes up. Sometimes they're like, oh, like I just don't know how much it's going to cost. And then in my course, I have all the different responses that you can say whenever, depending on what they say. Transition to the pitch. Okay, Susie, I feel like I have a really clear understanding of everything you're going through. So thank you for being so open and honest with me. Based on everything you told me, I definitely see the same gaps that you do. And I'm 100% confident that we can help you. We've helped hundreds of women with your same or similar symptoms. So just know you're in the right place because we do specialize with XYZ, whatever their issues are, if it's true. Is there anything else I need to know that we didn't cover yet? No? Okay. Does it sound good if we run through exactly what we do and how we could help? Or like, where do you want to go from here? That's a really important question. Where do you want to go from here? We're putting the ball back in their court and we're getting permission and we're getting them to ask us to pitch them. The pitch part of the program is a module of its own inside of my program. But for today's purposes, I just want to let everyone know that there are always pillars to the program. So there'll be like pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3. And then we want to sell each pillar using feature benefits, tying in exactly what that person told you and why the pillar is going to solve that problem for them. So if it was on a health and fitness offer, for example. So you know how you said you've tried all of these diets and exercises and nothing seems to be working for you? So we're going to run labs and see exactly what your body is trying to communicate with us so that we can get to the root of why the sudden weight gain, something like that. And then also you're going to walk through the deliverables, the next steps, like what it would look like if you did sign up for the program. Very, very important part right here. Next, we're going to go into the certainty check. So after you pitch them, they should have been like foaming at the mouth. Your pitch should have been so good because you were tying in feature benefits of exactly why it hasn't worked for them in the past and why your program is the exact answer for them. So at this point, if you do good on the pitch, they are going to feel really certain about your program. So we got to ask them though, at this part of the script, it is the certainty check and it is the most important part. So you're going to say, okay, great. Now I know I've been talking a lot, but I just want to check. And obviously we haven't talked about price yet. But before we go into that, how do you feel about the process itself? And they'll probably, if you did a good job, they'll be like, good, like really good. Is this exactly what you've been looking for to solve this? Yeah, it sounds good. Okay, do you feel confident that you'll get the results this time around? Or like, what's the difference in this program compared to what you've tried in the past? And here we're getting them to sell us on the program, getting them to tell us why this is different, why it's going to work for them. If you hear any sort of uncertainty here, do not move forward and tell them the price. We do not tell the price until they are 100% bought in, 10 out of 10. So you can even ask them on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning, I can't believe I just wasted my time on this call. 10 meaning, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Where are you at? And if they say like a 8 or a 9, I usually don't mess with 8s or 9s. That's great. And so you can even say like, okay, that's amazing. Like 8 or 9 is great. Is there anything that's preventing you from being a 10? And then they're probably just going to say it's the price. All right. So are you ready to talk about the investment? I'm providing 2 different closes that you can use. So I always like to start my close off with a price anchor. All right. A little bit of psychology here. It kind of like makes the program sound less by using a really high price anchor. So what it looks like is, okay, I really want you to treat this like you paid $10,000, like go all in and finally get XYZ result. So the entire 3 months of the program and everything that we covered is an investment of $5,500. And then you zip it, you get a drink of water, and you're going to notice their brain, the wheels start to turn in their brain. They're just thinking like, they might be thinking like, holy crap, that's a lot. They might be thinking like, oh, that's not too much. They might be thinking, I wonder if I can split it up, but just don't talk. Just let them process and then see what they have to say. And then in my course, of course, we're going to go through handling every possible objection that you might get. And then an ROI close is saying, I still use the price anchor. The total investment is just $5,500. And considering how long you've been dealing with this and how important this is to you, and really what you stand to gain, which is like energy, peace of mind, making 10 to 20K a month, more time with your family, you're going to get a massive return on investment in a really short amount of time. So it's just $5,500 will get you started. Do you want to use a credit card or what's best for you? This script works for literally every niche. It doesn't matter if you're closing on a health and fitness offer, a chiropractor offer, business to business offer, an offer helping women build personal brands, whatever it might be, you can use this script, make a couple little tweaks, and it will absolutely make you a bunch of money. So just remember, I want you to use the script as a guideline, but I want you to have the freedom to go off the script and first and foremost, focus on the other person, listen to what they're saying and help them. Like, can you genuinely help someone? Because at the end of the day, your closing rate is going to skyrocket when you stop worrying about the sale and start focusing on serving others. My client, Marianne, came to me. She was a closer for a chiropractic office and she was selling a $10,000 package. She had only sold one package the previous month when she came to me. She went through my training and then very next month she sold 7 packages. I want you to do the math there. She went from selling one $10,000 package to 7 $10,000 packages. I'm pretty sure the owner of that chiropractic office absolutely loved me for helping her sales closer get so good. Or take Whitney, for example. She came to me with no prior sales experience. She went through the academy. We implemented this script on her first offer, which was a health and fitness offer, and she closed at 35% her very first month, which is a very good close rate. And I know you might be wondering, how do I know this is going to work for me? Well, listen, in life, there's no guarantees. You have to decide that you are going to put in the work, go all in, and get the results for yourself. So if you are willing to bet on yourself and you're willing to go all in, I promise you, you have a bright future in sales. I have helped teachers, I have helped bartenders, I've helped stay-at-home moms, and even multiple 6-figure business owners learn the skill of sales because every successful woman knows the importance of learning and mastering the skill of sales. And the best part about sales is that you can get really good at it in a very short amount of time. Most of my students with no experience get really good around like the 60 to 90 day mark. People who come to me that already have experience, they accelerate in the first 30 days. If you like what you hear so far and you want to learn how to use this script and how to land a closing role so that you can create a life of freedom, click the link below and book a free call with me. I'm going to show you how to become a high ticket closer. You can completely choose your own schedule and the amount of hours that you want to work, and you can work from absolutely anywhere. Spots are limited, so book now before we continue with the most powerful part of the script. So ladies, if you want those slow mornings with your kids, you want more freedom in your life, you want time to go to the gym and Pilates and to be able to buy nice luxury things, high ticket sales is the answer. I teach women just like you with zero sales experience how to get into high ticket sales where you can start making $10, $15, even $20,000 a month. It really just depends on how hard you're willing to work, what kind of an offer you get on, and how available you want to be. Because the more calls you take, the more money that you can make. And when you get into high ticket sales, the opportunities are absolutely endless. What happened with me is I was a closer for someone else and I normalized lots of money coming in. I was closing $100,000 months, $200,000 months for her. I was making about $20,000 a month, but the wheels started turning and I was like, oh my gosh, what if I created something and I was the one keeping the $100,000, $200,000 a month? So here I am today with my coaching academy. And my hope is that this would be the same trajectory for you. My hope is that you are able to master the skill of sales, save a lot of money, and then really go after your dream and your passion and what your heart has been calling you to do. So if you are ready to surprise yourself with what you're actually capable of compared to where you're at today, click the link below, book a call with me, and we'll take a step towards that dream life of yours.